Middleweight title holder Gennady Golovkin has had a willingness to take on any top challenge, yet others haven't been so eager to step in the ring with him. Stevens will do just that on Saturday in New York from Madison Square Garden. He's exuded confidence bordering on cockiness, but you have to wonder if anyone other than Stevens believes he has a shot. Brian, what say you?
Jim, we can't lie. Ultimately, this is a stay-busy fight for Gennady Golovkin, but it adds a lot of intrigue when you look at Stevens' power. So what kind of chances am I going to give him in this fight? Obviously, a puncher's chance. Very excellent puncher. He's dropped down from 168 pounds down to middleweight. He's won his last 4 fights, 3 of them by first-round knockout. He brings legit danger and power to this situation, and that increases the odds that we could see a fun fight early on. But outside of that, I don't see him really taking Gennady into deep waters or even outboxing him by any means on the cards.
Stevens has done a lot of talking to the fact that you wonder if it's getting under Gennady Golovkin's skin. He's been quoted as saying he does a lot of talking. Good or bad, though, how does that ultimately impact Triple G in the ring?
I don't think it was necessarily a bad attempt from Stevens, because you look at Gennady Golovkin, he fights so stoic, robotically in the ring. He goes in there with no emotion, comes in there to just take care of business and take his opponent out. So what Stevens is trying to do is ruffle his feathers a little bit. In the beginning, I think it almost sort of worked. You saw Gennady Golovkin come out and say, this is disrespectful. I want to take this fight into a street fight. Golovkin's pulled back a little bit since then. I don't think it's going to be a factor on fight night, but no harm done in trying it from my end for Stevens.
What happened to that sweet persona that you thought of from Triple G? Let's bring in ESPN.com boxing contributor Kieran Mulvaney with another viewpoint. And Kieran, they say styles make fights, and knowing these two styles of these two fighters, what kind of fight will we see on Saturday?
A fairly brief one, I suspect, to be perfectly honest. Stevens, his main strength is that he's a fighter, not a boxer. He's a knockout artist. Unfortunately for him, Gennady Golovkin is a better knockout artist than he is, and he's also better at everything else. And I think probably we might actually find a couple of rounds to begin with where Stevens isn't quite as bold as he suggested he would be. But eventually Golovkin has such great footwork, he'll trap Stevens, he'll make him fight. Then I think we'll see 2 or 3 very, very good, exciting rounds until eventually Golovkin puts him away.
Hey, Kieran, one thing that Stevens is better than Golovkin at is talking. He says Golovkin is a hype job, one that happens to be 27-0 with 24 knockouts. What are your impressions of what Triple G is now and what he can ultimately be?
I'm not only on the Triple G bandwagon, I'm driving it, and I'm buying myself a little chauffeur's cap to put on. I think any time you have a guy who's undefeated, there are always the questions, oh yeah, well, he's beaten this kind of guy. What happens when he beats that kind of guy? Floyd Mayweather still gets it. Floyd Mayweather's going to get that when he's sitting in the Happy Valley Fighters Retirement Home looking out the staring window. There's still going to be someone who says, well, you didn't fight this guy. And I think even more so when you're a knockout artist like Golovkin, because people say, oh yeah, well, you beat a guy who's smaller than you, beat a guy who's come to you. But I think Golovkin has such great amateur experience, and I think his knockouts mask the fact that he does a lot of really good stuff in the ring. He moves beautifully. He cuts off the ring very well. He's technically very, very good. I think Golovkin can be a major star in this sport for a while to come.